Hello and welcome to everyone who is listening to this episode of the podcast. I'm truly excited today, primarily because I have a very skilled HSE professional together with me again today, and he's going to share his fantastic journey throughout the HSE world that he's working in right now. And I'm also quite excited because I finally got someone into the podcast that has a name that's equally hard to pronounce as mine. So I'm going to give it my absolute best and try. He was very polite and said that I could do a short version of his name, but I'm going to go all out and try to actually see if I can pronounce it correctly, because today I have Aparajithan with me and I'm looking so much for it. I really hope I nailed the name. How do you feel? Was it correctly?
Hi, Bjørn. Yeah, that's perfect. You nailed it. If it's hard for you, you can just use AJ. That's fine with me as well. So
beautiful. That's very kind of you. Yeah. But I'm really happy that we kind of got up to a good start where I at least had the ability to use your name in the right way. And once again, thank you so much for actually taking the time out of your busy calendar to be sharing of your great knowledge and experience within HSE. I mean, it's something that's crucial for us to actually getting to the next level of results, that we're continuously being curious on what it is that we can learn from each other. So it is truly appreciated. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thanks, Bjørn, first of all, for having me on the podcast. It's an absolute pleasure, actually. Looking forward.
Yeah, me too. All right. So can you kind of take us, if you start by what's your role today? What is it that you do today? And then we're going to take it all the way back to when it all started. So what's your role right now?
Right now, I am a Divisional Health and Safety Manager for a company here in UAE. So I handle the health and safety aspects for the organization. Yeah, I'm quite new to the company, actually. I just joined like 2.5 months ago. So just getting to know the new work environment. It's quite challenging, different than what I used to before. Yeah, it's nice so far. So good.
That's great. Can you elaborate on where do you see the biggest challenge or the biggest difference from what you came from and what you're in right now?
Yeah, throughout my career, it was like in the contracts or sites, if you could prefer. So we handle a small project or a contract for that matter. So we are in charge of the contract, but now it's more corporate role. So it's more handling the team and getting information from the team and reporting to the group. And so it's kind of next level for me, and I'm learning every day. So good.
That's great. Very exciting. So for how long have you been doing HSE work?
Throughout my career, I started in India, 2007, 8. Yeah. And then I stopped working for a period, and then again got in from 2013 onwards. So yeah, almost 11, 12 years throughout, completely in facilities management, in health and safety throughout my career. So there's no change, no diversion still now.
All right. And when did you make the transfer to the location that you're at right now?
You mean Dubai or?
Yeah. I came. So when did you actually transfer to Dubai from India?
I came quite early. 2013 is when I came back to Dubai. So I came to Dubai.
All right.
It's quite different, actually. Dubai, when you come from India, the culture of health and safety or even employee welfare is completely different to what we have in Dubai. So it's when I came in 2013, it's a culture shock for me. It's like, wow.
What was the biggest difference there?
Communication, actually, with the team, and engagement is totally off the charts here. In India, it's more like, here you go, this is your role, you stick to it, you get paid for it, that's it. But here it's like, you're part of the organization, you feel engaged, that's more here in Dubai. I think they're more advanced. From where in 2013 to now, it's skyrocketed now, but yeah, we can see the difference.
And that's really where it becomes interesting, because this is kind of the aim of this podcast is to kind of put a light on, so where are we actually coming from and where are we going in the future? So I know that you were kind enough to share that you obviously have taken your career to the next level right now, and it's more on a corporate level where it's about reporting into the group. And I really understand that there is a big difference between what you were doing before this and what you're doing right now. But still, if you look kind of at the overall picture of HSE work, from when you started, let's say back in 2012 until today, so do you see that there has been a change there? What has been kind of the shift of the focus?
Oh, that's a huge change. Before, when I started, basically, it's more about documentation for the sake of documentation. HSE is basically ISO certifications for us when I started. So, to get the certificate checkbox, go do the inspections, go do your trainings, have the checkbox documents in. I got certificate, company's fine. It's evolving now. The most different aspect, and the engaging part, or more the interesting part that I see now is the VR specific training, virtual reality trainings that's been coming across. That's a couple of weeks back we had a group safety conference that we had in our company. So virtual reality trainings were part of it. Some of the sessions were mind-blowing, especially the ones that we do on fire safety and first aid safety, that people could that before we have no idea about unless you actually get involved in those things. So it's quite surprising, actually.
It's a really great example. So, and I know that you're in an organization that are, of course, seeking to be kind of on edge of all the development that must be. But if you were to kind of backtrack it a little bit, so when was the first time that you noticed the shift from doing the documentation for the sake of the documentation, doing the checkboxes, and when did you first see, okay, so there's actually more to the role of being an HSE professional?
Probably when I came to Dubai, the organization that I got involved was more engaging with the employees. So there was constant communication with the team. So we had multicultural teams from all over the world. Like we had people from Nepal, Bangladesh, India, people from Africa. So and it's completely new for them as well. So to get them into our page, into what we want, our standard of requirement is this much. The client requirement is that much. So to fill the gap, we have to constantly engage with them. So that kind of started me into developing myself, to be honest. But then that engagement part and communication part is where I realized that it's changing. Or at least I feel that there is something else of what we are used to back home. Yeah.
All right. I understand. So in your perspective, how does the engagement happen? Is that purely with communication, or is there also other initiatives that's bringing out the engagement?
Yeah, we do trainings, a lot of trainings, toolbox talk sessions with the usual stuff. But then we initiated in 2014 this health and safety committee meetings, like basic site level ones, where there is no supervisors involved. The actual cleaners and the housekeeping staffs or the electricians, we just put them in a room, and their immediate supervisors won't be there, and their line managers won't be there. So housekeeping staffs, technicians, and senior most member of the contract. So they just put them in, tell us what is the issues. So most of the issues that they face, like the basic ones, welfare issues, and once we start sorting it out, that started opening up a lot of engagement initiatives between the team. They came up with the safety observations from the side. They came and started engaging with us with near-miss issues, and that was surprising. That first HSE committee meeting was a floodgate for us. Once we opened that and we started rectifying issues, they believed in us. They thought that, all right, these guys are for real, and then the engagement with the team was next level, actually. To To quote an example, actually, when we started one of our previous contract, we had a lot of LTIs. This is like in 2019. We are mobilizing a huge contract. We had a couple of LTIs. Also, it's because the team are coming from all over the world, and this is their first project in Dubai as well, for most of them. So we had quite a incidents and LTIs happening on the site. And we used the same formula of engagement with the team. People started engaging with us. There was a lot of near-miss reporting. We brought first 2 months in the contract, we had some LTIs. Till I left, 3 years into the contract, we had 0 LTIs. So we were able to, so that's purely down to engaging with the team, actually. For a while, after a while, we were able to get brown collar staffs trained in risk assessment. They get engaged with us in actually doing a developing risk assessment for each task. That's one of the key achievements, I would say, that came out of these engagement activities.
That's also very, very impressive, or impressing, sorry for my bad English. So can you elaborate a bit more on when you say engagement, right? Just to clarify it for me. So where do you distinguish between having no engagement and having really good engagement?
You mean there's no engagement at all?
So just to clarify in your mind, what's the biggest difference between whenever there is engagement in a group of the organization or people that you're working with towards there are no engagement whatsoever?
If there's no engagement in the team, there's no collaboration, right? There's no ideas coming out of it. There's no chance for improvement as well. People tend to do their own. The company might have a defined process. They will just stick to their process. There is no growth in it. There is no challenge, there is no new ideas coming out of it. So unless you engage with your team, you will not know actually whether the process is, some of the steps involved in the process, whether it's actually required or not. So without engaging with the team or collaborating with the team, you will never improve or challenge yourself to the next level. So, yeah.
It's quite interesting. And I know that I'm a bit of a nerd on the subject, but can you please elaborate a bit on how it were that you spiked the first part of engagement? How it were, because you were very specific on how you actually started that back in 2019. What was the thing that you did?
It was started actually in 2014. The initial meeting, I could still remember, people are very hesitant to come in. There was a lot of language barriers. So we brought in people who are who we know actually who talks confidently but in their own language. So we brought in translators from other departments who they are not scared to talk about. So, for example, if a housekeeping staff is from Nepal and he speaks their own mother tongue, and then we brought in someone from MEP or other trade, and we put them in. Now we talk, he will translate for us. We understand what's your issue. So the first meeting was very slow. All the issues that came up were very, very basic welfare issues, which were easy to rectify. So the initial engagement, the initial opening of the gate, that was mattered actually initially.
Can you give a clear example of what kind of welfare issue they were facing that you could fix for them?
Water coolers issues, like everybody had their own pantries. I mean, we had a lot of cluster of buildings, so everyone had their own pantries and water coolers and everything. But there was issues about, for example, contractors. We had a lot of fit-out sets as well. We manage facilities, but there are fit-out contractors as well. So they used to come in and sit as well. So when our guys go for lunch, just an example, they won't be able to have time to sit and eat. This is in 2014 actually. So we spoke to the fit-out teams, and then we arranged time duration for each teams to come in, so that solve this. This is a basic issue, but we solved it. They are really happy when they go for lunch for a 1 hour break. They can just sit and have, they can relax, right? So that take their mind off some. Apparently, they've been fighting with some of the external contractors for to sit and eat, which is a basic right actually. So these sort of issues even popped up to senior most level. They were surprised to even hear about it.
But it is also a very good example, and I really must give you a lot of credit for it, right? Because even at that level of the organization, to actually go in and just ask questions. So what's going on?
Exactly, right? Yeah, but then it started the next levels of communication between the team. Like I remember one of the guy came to us and said, it's just housekeeping stuff. He was just cleaning an external area. And then he came to us and there's one of the tile which is slightly elevated. And I saw one lady wearing high heels, she tripped, but she didn't fall down. She just tripped and then she went off. He came straight to us, to our office, and then he reported it. He doesn't have to report it. He just came to our office and reported it. That sort of engagement improved because of that initial meeting in 2014.
But it is, I mean, it's always when we hit the most basic stuff, right?
Yeah.
That is having the biggest
Correct.
effects. Because in your mind, what is it that you think that you actually achieved by going in and asking the initial question? So how are you guys? What do you think that built up inside of them towards you?
I think I believe that after the initial meeting and when we started rectifying issues, they started trusting us more, and they thought they believe that they are part of us, and we gave them the responsibility, and they felt that they are part of the organization. They felt their voices were heard, like a just culture. So they could come to us and report anything, and there's no repercussions because we are part of one team. So yeah, that's what I believe, I think.
And it's I must say that a lot of people could learn quite a lot from just that one example, right? Because I think that it can happen that people are overshooting the issue.
Correct. Yeah.
Or at least started in the wrong place, right?
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's people business. Right? The work we are doing is basically facilities, taking care of facilities. So engaging with public, and it's people business. So unless our guys are up to the task, it's going to be uphill work from there.
Definitely. All right. So going from that, right, and then building upon the trust.
Yeah.
And then at some point, right, the trust was equal, right? They were really open towards you.
Correct.
What's the thing that they came to you with that you were significantly surprised towards? Like, oh my God, I can't believe that we have actually gotten to this level on the trust scale for them to come and tell us stuff like this.
Yeah, I could use a risk assessment. We were doing a garbage chute. Part of our work is to do garbage chute cleaning in a high-rise building. So our process said you have to follow steps. There was 10 steps that we have to follow, and we just part of their work. They got a work order. The team went and started doing the work. But one day there were 3 technicians who came to our office and said, steps 4, 5, 6 not needed. Doesn't even make sense. It kind of puts us in risk if I follow this step. So it was like, I mean, we did the risk assessment. We sit with your engineers to develop a method of statement to do this risk assessment. And now you guys are coming and telling us that these are wrong. Amazing. Thank you. And then we went back to the team. We went to the site, actually. It's just a basic minor work, but then that was something surprising for me as well.
And then comes the really interesting part of it, right? So how did you actually explain to them that you were happy about this collaboration? How did you actually give them credit for
those 3 guys were nominated as the safety champions for our contract, and then they were given some awards, and it's just a small thing, but then they were really happy about it, and it kind of triggered other departments to get involved as well. So it was there was knock-on effects on from that incident, actually.
Yeah, it's really great to have this conversation with you. And I almost forgot to ask you in the beginning, right? And now you have kind of answered it in between the lines, but what is your passion for HSE?
Yeah, actually I always wanted to work in public service. That's what I tried to do after I'm an engineering graduate, but once I finished my engineering graduate, I tried to get into the public service exams. I couldn't crack it. So when this opportunity came in, wow, I wanted to do something, and this is kind of similar, but in an industrial level, so I'll take it. So that's how I came in, and I'm enjoying it actually, because you get to you get to work with people, make sure they are working safely, and it's more than that. Like, you talk to them, get to know more about them, their work, their feelings, and they, at the end of the day, they go home safely, and they trust us. They trust when we develop that. After a period of while, you develop a trust among your team, and then the amount of respect that you see in their eyes is like, it's nice actually. I can't really put into words.
Bet it is. Sorry, I didn't get the last bit.
I'm not putting it right into words, but it's
It's giving you a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, correct. Seeing people, trusting you with the level. Yeah.
It's quite interesting, right? So if you then think about going into this new organization, because you mentioned you have only been there for 2-3 months or so. So do you feel that the level of engagement is there yet?
It is actually. It's a huge organization, right? So we have clusters of sectors, and some sectors are doing like excellently well. Some sectors are not. Mm-hmm. So there's one sector. I think I told you this before. We had some lot of issues in this one part of the sector. So I could use the same example that we started in 2014. So that's what we're kind of doing it now in a grand scale. And we had initiated and done a lot of engagement tours and activities with that specific site, and we are seeing some improvements. We are seeing a lot of feedbacks from the team. The incidents have not gone down yet, but we strongly believe that we are going in the right direction, and I'm sure we will have an impact because the other sectors which are doing good, they are literally following what we are trying to implement in this one. So, yeah.
It's really great. I must also give you credit for, right? Because whenever, and this happens again and again, whenever people have kind of solved the puzzle, they have a tendency to start where they left off. So they are not actually having the patience to go all the way back and say, all right, so where did it actually all start?
Exactly. You just have to go back to the basics, right? Again, start from the beginning and start from the scratch. It's again the same people, but different contracts, Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that's also part of why you have been so successful. It's because you continuously are aware of first of all, it's a people game, but secondly, that's you can't expect people to be at your level. You need to kind of go and ask, so what is it that I can fix for you guys?
Exactly.
And I think that you will be surprised that how many HSE people who could actually benefit from this, because without offending people, there are still some, predominantly because of the organization that they're in, they're kind of forced to be the HSE police and enforcing the policies and procedures. So it's really refreshing in the industry that you're in to understand how you can actually see the benefit of just sitting down and asking.
Exactly. Like that. If you're just being a police or just having a stick doesn't work, right? Like you gotta go to the team, be with them, understand their issues first to see why they are doing what they are doing, right? During one of the session with the team, actually, we kind of asked them, we kind of use examples that you taught us during the Health and Safety Mental Focus Specialist. One of the things I told them to do is one of the tasks basically I asked them to do is from you list out the things that you did in a day, not just the overview, but in every minute detail. That's that's to improve their focus. But I've been trying it from the day of the training. I'm not able to do it completely. My attention goes like, just your mind takes you everywhere, and you got to bring it back, and then that's one of the hardest tasks that I've faced till date. But I am telling everyone to do this to improve your focus and attention on your task. It's quite interesting. Basic, small example, but really good.
Thank you so much for that and for taking the training into your organization. That means the world to me, because I know that it's going to have effects, just not on the stats, but also for
Correct.
people's their feeling and the well-being for going to work and wanting to actually do more for you, and building upon the trust that you have, that you had in your old organization that you're building currently right now. And I think that the example that you're giving is where it becomes extremely important to me. And this is where it fits so well into what you have just told, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the simplicity of it is so that it's almost ridiculous why I read so many books and why we have a chief psychologist at the team, right? But obviously we need to have that part in place. But taking all of that knowledge and then making it into something that's so simple that you can do, and you can explain someone how they should do it in just a very short period, and then they can actually benefit from the effects of
Correct.
it. And so thank you for making my day.
But it's not easy to do, right? I mean, I've been trying it for a long time, but I can't, in one sit, you cannot just think of the entire activity that you have done. It's really impossible because your mind is like a monkey jumping everywhere, and it's very hard to bring it back. Oh, it's a nice exercise.
And that's part of the exercise, right? It's part of the exercise of actually experiencing the mind jumping.
Yeah.
Because when you get to experience that, you also know, all right, so people who are out there doing something that is potentially dangerous, what if their mind is popping as well when they're supposed to be focusing on this small task? And when you get that reflection, you get kind of, oh, we need to train these people so that their mind is not popping everywhere, but they're actually just relaxed and calm and executing on the task that they have at hand.
Absolutely.
All right. So we kind of covered your story of your journey in HSE, and it's quite clear to obviously people who are just listening to the podcast can't just see the passion in your eyes, but I encourage them to go to view some of the clips that we're going to make with you, where you can really see that you're sparkling whenever you talk about the engagement with people, right? And I mean, the contract that you talked about with your old organization, where you had you brought it all the way down to 0 LTIs for a very long period. That's, of course, a huge credit to you and to the work that has been done. But I'm curious to know, where do you see the work of HSE going in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months or 2 years? What do you think the new thing is that needs to be introduced into the work that's being done in general?
I think we more on employee well-being and welfare, probably. Also, technological advancements have come in right now. Like I said, the one example I use is VR-specific trainings. The more on right now, the training modules are very limited to fire safety, first aid, and a few slips and trips and all. But the more developments on modules will help the team to have a clear view. I mean, it's basically virtual reality, right? What will happen if you slip and fall on a ladder? They can really see for themselves, and then they will not feel the pain, but they will see the impact. So
that's going to be interesting, right? When the virtual reality goes to actually giving them pain, whenever
that
would be an interesting concept, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, doing pain training again. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, please continue.
No, that's fine. That's where I believe the industry is going right now. Yeah.
So bringing more virtual reality training into whatever concepts that's there.
Yeah, the reportings is already there. Most of the reporting has been easily simplified already. So there's a lot of tools available online in the market. So I would say trainings, that's where we could improve to the next level. Yeah.
All right. And what's your advice to people who are not that far advanced as you are? What should they do if they actually want to create results like you're doing?
The best example I give is to start talking to the team, go sit with them, understand what they're doing, what is the issue they're facing. Once we start fixing those basic issues, and then they will tell us what we should do to improve. So I think engagement is one of the basic things that anyone can just start doing right away. There's nothing much they have to do, nothing much they have to change. Just start talking to the team, and then they will start improving. Then probably reviewing their procedures maybe, or start doing more training sessions, catering to the actual site requirements probably. Yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything that you would like to add to this particular podcast?
Actually, I listened to one of the previous podcasts from before. That was quite interesting to me as well, because he had a huge experience, 30 years of health and safety experience, and he brought in vast of knowledge. So that was good for me. Yeah, thanks again for having me on the podcast. This is my first ever podcast, so you made my day as well. So thank you.
You're more than welcome, but it was really great to have you on, definitely. And I really, once again, want to emphasize that it is a true pleasure to spend time with you and actually to learn and listen to how it is that you made significant changes by doing something that's so simple that each and everyone can actually start doing that tomorrow, regardless of corporate policies and stuff like that. It is doable to actually go and just listen to whatever it is that they're saying.
True.
So thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope that you're going to have a fantastic day going forward from here.
Thanks, Bjørn.